Catch up and overtake America was Nikita Khrushchev's favorite saying. In some respects, of course, we overtook America, but in the construction of cars, luxury cars, we more often only tried to catch up.
And we were catching up, specifically inspired by American cars.
It's like buying a fashion magazine, seeing a suit there, and sewing your own suit in the workshop. It'll look very similar, but not the same, and that doesn't mean it's worse.
The ZIL became outdated. The whirlwind of change blew away everything that could be, and the leaders needed a new modern car.
ZIL successfully supplied cars for the top party leadership. There were no cars for lower officials. ZIL, to be honest, was so tired and outdated that it made no sense to modernize it further. So they had to invent, to create a car from scratch. And the country already had such an inventor, or rather, the artist Lev Yeremeyev. He designed the ZIM itself, GAZ-13, and the project of the most important car for the powerful at that time, the ZIL 111. In short, with such luck, you can bet everything on the all-in.
Let me clarify right away. The car was created by a creative team. It's not just one Lev Yeremeyev, it's a whole team from the Gorky automobile plant. I'm afraid I won't be able to list everyone. I just won't have the time. But it's not just the engineers and designers. It's also the test drivers. No one hid the fact that artistic inspiration was drawn from across the ocean. Several cars were specifically purchased for the research, and they were handed over to us personally. The car is built on a lightweight X-shaped frame. It's not two powerful beams, because the body is semi-load-bearing.
It takes on the load through 16 mounting points.
Did you see the width of the thresholds?
Interior later. About appearances, you could write a scientific paper on it. Chrome again. Characteristic visors on the headlights, which have already been applied on the older comrade, 111th. A fireplace grill instead of a radiator grill, and shiny bullets on the silver bumper, or silver bullets on a shiny bumper. Maybe not bullets, but it's very similar. But there's definitely a seagull bird, and the Seagull appeared much earlier than this car. There was a remodeled ZIM, and there was a seagull in it. By the way, there were two names too, the Seagull or Chaika and the Arrow. One of the legends says Volga on the bottom, Chaika on the top. Well, that's a controversial legend. It's just that the Chaika was quite large, 5,600 millimeters long, width 2,000 millimeters, height 1,620. The wheelbase alone is 3 meters 25 centimeters. A small caveat, no one in Europe has ever made a car this big. Only the Americans and us. If you look closely, Yeremeyev tried to unify the Volga with the Chaika. There's this element above the rear fender, the elbow, like a GAZ-13. The stern looks no less immodest in the Chaika. Fins or rocket stabilizer. Call it what you want, but you have to be a genius to create such a thing. It's one thing to draw it, and quite another to realize it in metal and plastic. Exhaust pipes, rocket nozzles, giant trunk. Well, that's a GAZ story. A huge spare tire in the middle of the trunk. And that's because there's an 80-liter fuel tank behind the rear axle. Where's the filler neck? It behind the license plate. When the machine was created, there were strict requirements for the creators. And the main thing was a new engine. The Zimovsky engine with 90 horses and even inline had been irrelevant for a long time. And in America, V-shaped monsters ruled the roost.
Yes, please, they said at GAZ. Let's make a new one for passenger cars, not for trucks like at ZIL.
Here it is, the GAZ-13 with a volume of 5.5 liters. The maximum power is roughly 195 horsepower at 4,400 RPM. The maximum torque is approximately 411 Newton meters at 2,500 RPM. The cylinder diameter is 100 millimeters. The piston stroke is 88 millimeters. The design was progressive for its time. The cylinder block, heads, exhaust manifold, and pistons are made of aluminum, not cast iron. This is indeed our development from the mid-50s. But the Americans only had engines like this, such as these in the 60s. And this is the Frog, the vacuum brake booster. This is a new thing for our cars and a mandatory requirement when designing the Chaika.
Comfort was also a prerequisite, but there should be no pretentiousness. I would call it pseudo-modesty. Colors are discreet, pastel, but all materials are of high quality, velour, felt.
There is no partition in the back, it is not allowed after all. It was not the top officials who drove the car, but the deputies. But the receiver has an automatic tuning and an antenna with an electric drive. There's shiny things here, it's hard to take it all in.
Headlights, windscreen wiper, light, choke, all in Russian. Starter, air intake, ventilation, heater, air conditioning. All that's missing is the cross icon, like I'm at home. You know what all these English names in cars are about? Here. Glove compartment, clock, soft, and most importantly, there's plenty of room. The gilded grille, bordered by a chrome frame, has everything you need. We can say about the artistic basis, again, very similar to the overseas comrades, but much lighter and more elegant. Knowledgeable people told me right away, "You're thinking narrowly, Ivan Sergeyevich. Why in English? To sell abroad. But we don't trade our homeland. We, who sit in Chaika cars, don't trade in our homeland." It's not opening. Is it wrong? I'm not going to do it. It's wide. 3 people can fit. It's beautiful. Normal guys smoked everywhere. Electric drive windows. Again, reclining seats. And another chrome ashtray. And handrails and everything. It's good to be a deputy. To ride a Chaika. It's beautiful. Coachman, let's go. And the cherry on the cake is the automatic hydromechanical transmission. 3-speed, key-operated. You press the letter D, you move, and it's automatic. Let's go. Over 2.5 tons of acceleration. On the principle, what's the hurry? The Seagull accelerates to 100 in 20 seconds, but this acceleration is not modern, just like the increasing wind. You may have noticed that there is another button on the remote control with a T on it. It stands for braking. You press the button at about 40 kilometers per hour and the car starts to slow down. At 36 kilometers per hour, the first speed comes on. That's for going downhill, for safety. Although the brakes here are very reliable, with a hydraulic vacuum booster. Another interesting fact. In fact, the GAZ-13 has a gearbox from the GAZ-21, but reinforced. After all, it was planned to make Volga with automatic transmission, but the impossibility of quality service and the oil was not the best, and therefore decided not to install automatic transmission. And in the garage of special purpose, everything was good with service. Moreover, only for the year of the beginning of production, 45 cars were delivered. But the steering wheel is a miracle. Power steering. But the lower the speed, the heavier the steering wheel. The power steering is tied to the manifold, so you have to go fast, but at a steady pace. During the years of production from 1959 to 81, only 3179 were produced. There were several modernizations and improvements. The 13th was produced in parallel with the GAZ-13, as the old one was in constant demand among officials and departments. And also the developments and technologies applied to the car formed the basis of the new Volga, GAZ-24. Front suspension on rubber metal joints, rear trapezoidal steering, telescopic shock absorbers, self-adjusting brake cylinders, and so on. And of course, we should mention the ZMZ-41 engine from BRDM-2. This is a deformed Tchaikovsky engine, and also reduced in displacement ZMZ-53 and 51. Same principle. In short, everything went into action. The Chaika was luckier than the similar ZIL-111, or was it? Because the ZIL was similar to the Chaika, it was first modernized and then discontinued. And the Chaika, but the Chaika is a car for the ages, as long as there's a museum and weddings. Well, another page of history has been turned. History is a good teacher surrounded by bad students. Learn to listen. The hunt continues.